Good afternoon and welcome to the Think Realty webinar. My name is Rodney. I'm the Director of Sales for Think Realty, and we have a great, awesome webinar coming up for you. We have Haley Gant from Quest Trust, and she's going to talk about how to leverage your network to grow your IRA, so you don't want to miss that. Real quick, just to clean up for you, there's a little Q&A box at the bottom of your screen, so as you have questions, feel free to type that in, and she's going to get to as many questions as possible throughout the program. So with that, we'll just turn over to Haley. We'll welcome her in, and I'm going to give her hosting privileges.
Perfect. Thank you, Rodney. Thanks for having me today. I'm super excited to give this presentation to you guys. I actually stole this presentation from our Vice President, Nate Hare, so it's one of the better ones that we give. And it looks like I'm a host now, so let me share my screen. And the reason I say I stole it from Nate Hare is I actually just realized his name is still on the cover slide, so just ignore that. Let me see here. Slideshow, play from start. Perfect. Can you see my screen? Awesome. All right, awesome. So thanks for joining in, everyone, today. Before we kind of get started, I see those of you online, go ahead and in the chat box, let me know where are you watching from and how familiar are you with self-directed IRAs. Kind of gives me a good idea of, really how to gauge the presentation. If we've got a lot of people that have never heard of self-directed IRAs before, or if you guys are already well familiar with them and you're really looking for just like the how to network and grow your IRA through that type of stuff. So let me know in the chat where you guys are watching from. You should be able to chat that to me in there. And like Rodney was saying, if you guys have any questions, just let me know in the Q&A or in the chat. I usually check those about every couple of slides. So if you'll have questions, definitely let me know and I can get them answered during the presentation. Let's see, so nice watching from Nashville. Awesome, looking to start a self-directed IRA to use to lend. Always kind of gives me a good idea. But yeah, so kind of a little bit of background about me. My name's Haley. I am an IRA specialist at Quest Trust Company. I've been with Quest for about 4 years, but I've grown up around real estate pretty much my entire life. My parents are real estate investors and have flipped about 1,500 properties in their careers. They've also been Quest clients since 2004, so I've literally grown up surrounded by everything. I'm an only child, so I had no choice but to be surrounded by all of these topics as I was kind of growing up in my teenage years throughout college as well. And now here I'm at Quest 4 years later. I've recently transitioned into a lot of our business development. So I work a lot with, people like Rodney and Think Realty pretty much all over the country and do presentations to help teach people about all of these different options you really have for your retirement accounts, your 401ks, things like that. And without further ado, let's kind of get right into it. Here's a quick overview of what I'm going to cover today. I'm going to give you guys a quick basics about self-directed IRAs. We like to include at least a general overview of, what is a self-directed IRA, what types of accounts can be self-directed. We like to include that in all of our presentations because that is the true foundation of, how to really grow your IRA through your network. If you don't know what type of IRA you can self-direct, you're not going to be able to know the rest of it. So like to start at good foundations. And we're going to talk about all of your different investment options you have for your IRA. So really today's main focus is going to be, what is a self-directed IRA? How can you use it? The types of investments that you can hold. And once you get that foundation, how to use this knowledge to leverage your network to grow your IRA funds completely tax deferred or tax-free, depending on what type of account you might have. And last but not least, to kind of wrap up the class, I do have 2 real client case studies. One of them is one of my clients over there in Dallas. Mark has been with Quest for a little over, I guess, a year now, but he's been really excited. He's a really great example of how you can really come into this with absolutely no knowledge or real estate experience, and really kind of put your 401k money to work in a way that actually works for you. And my second case study is my own case study of my first deal that I did with my self-directed IRA. And since then, I have done 3 other deals and have almost tripled the size of my IRA within the span of about 3 years. I started self-directing mine a little bit after I started at Quest. So that's just kind of what we're going to cover today. This presentation, just like any presentation that we give at Quest, is strictly for educational purposes only. We always encourage you to do your own due diligence, consult an attorney, CPA, blah, 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 all of that fun stuff. At Quest, we provide a lot of self-directed IRA education, but we strongly encourage you to always do your own due diligence, just like you would if you were doing investments with non-IRA funds. Quick little background about us. Who is Quest Trust Company? We are based out of Houston, Texas. That's where I'm based out of. We have offices in Dallas and Austin. I actually ran our Dallas office for about 3 years, kind of got that education center off the ground when we started it whenever we expanded the office in about 2017. We are the largest self-directed IRA custodian in the state of Texas, but we do have clients all over the country as well. We've been around for about 16 years. We actually started as an Entrust franchise and eventually have kind of grown. We bought out, we became Quest IRA. Now we are Quest Trust Company, which is basically the same company. We are now just a licensed trust company within the state of Texas, regulated by the Texas Banking Department. One of the biggest advantages of working with Quest is our knowledge and expertise and our ability to allow you to use your IRA to invest into privately held assets, such as real estate, notes, and private placement investments. And we're a pretty good large company. We've got about 20,000 clients now nationwide. About half of those are in Texas, but the other half are all throughout the country as well. And to kind of go back to this slide, this picture that we see here, I always like to touch on this. This is actually from last year's Quest Expo. One of the things that makes us really qualified to talk about the networking and relationship aspect of this is Quest is founded by real estate investors. Here in this picture, you see Quincy Long and Nathan Long, our president and founder here at Quest. And this was actually at last year's Quest Expo. Pre-COVID, we do about 600 events a year. We attend events all over the country, give presentations. And, we really specialize in helping to teach real estate investors about these basic IRA principles that you can go and apply to your own conversations and your network and your investments to help you grow at least some of your money completely tax deferred or tax free. So, we kind of think like real estate investors because we are real estate investors. So we really understand the importance of being able to apply these types of conversations to your networking and relationships that you're having, when you're talking to people outside of Quest and other real estate events. So what is a self-directed IRA? How are the IRAs that we hold at Quest different than maybe where your IRA is held currently? So legally, there is no distinction or no difference between the IRAs that we hold at Quest and an IRA that you hold at any other custodian. Most traditional custodians like Fidelity, E-Trade, Charles Schwab, their job is to hold publicly traded assets that they sell you for your IRA to be invested in. So, 98% of Americans only have their IRAs invested into publicly traded assets. These are things like stocks, mutual funds, CDs, any types of investments you might traditionally get through your financial advisor. At Quest, we hold the exact same types of IRA accounts that you find at any other custodian, but the only difference is the types of assets that we allow you to invest in. So at Quest, we do not hold any publicly traded assets. We exclusively specialize in holding privately held assets in an IRA or a retirement account. So, a self-directed IRA, you'll see here on the next slide, we actually have 7 different types of accounts that you can self-direct. And technically, they are all self-directed IRAs, but self-directed is really just a marketing term. The actual type of account you hold at Quest legally will be exactly the same. So if you've got like a Roth IRA or a traditional IRA currently, you could open up that same exact type of account at Quest and transfer your cash back and forth between your 2 IRA accounts at any time, just kind of based on where you're wanting to use it for investments. As you guys might know, if you're watching this or if this idea kind of intrigues you, there are a lot of benefits to having a self-directed IRA. I won't spend too much time on these, but overall, having your funds invested into privately held assets really allows you to truly diversify your retirement portfolio outside of the stock market, outside of CDs and mutual funds. You actually have the ability to hold tangible assets such as real estate within a retirement account and still get all of the same tax advantages that you get with any IRA. So your IRA, and really one of the biggest reasons you want to hold investments in an IRA is because your IRA is tax sheltered. So you as an individual, unfortunately are a taxpayer. So every year, you file your taxes, you pay a certain percentage of your income back to Uncle Sam each year. And your IRA does not pay income taxes every single year. Any investments that you do in your IRA are not reported on your own personal taxes. They have a completely different reporting process, and any investments you do in an IRA will not be taxed while they're growing. No income tax, no capital gains tax. It's a great way to shelter, some of your certain investments from Uncle Sam and his taxes that he wants you to pay each year. So the ability to hold real estate and other types of tangible assets in an IRA that gets these tax advantages can be really, really valuable over the course of the next 5, 10, 20, even maybe 30 years of your life by the time you might hit retirement. Another big benefit that we like to talk about that, not a lot of people, it's probably not one of the first things because it's not really monetary, is there's a big social aspect to having your funds in a self-directed IRA because you can actually see your retirement money working in the community around you and helping to improve your community. As a real estate investor, you have a really big opportunity to go out and help people in need. Whether there's a distressed seller, it's an eyesore in the neighborhood, someone's behind on their taxes, or someone just flat out needs funding for a deal. You can use your IRA funds to purchase investment properties. You can be a private lender with your IRA, and you can actually see the positive impact of those investments in the direct community around you. If you have all of your funds invested into the stock market, you might actually not know what types of companies your money is invested in. So you might as well use these funds that you have sitting in an IRA, sitting in a 401k, maybe not doing much for you right now. You might as well use those things to invest into investments that are not only, kind of local around you, but also this last one here, investing in what you know best. So if you're a real estate investor, you have a special skill set somewhere in the field of real estate investing. Again, whether it's purchasing properties, multifamily, private lending, raising capital, you guys have a special skill set that most of the world out there doesn't have unless, they're also in real estate. So you might as well use the money that you have sitting in an IRA that gets awesome tax advantages to invest into the things that you are knowledgeable about. So, again, there's no legal distinction between the IRAs that we hold at Quest, but as you can see, there are a lot of benefits as to why you might want to have your funds invested into or with a self-directed IRA. Let me pull up the chat here really quick. Looks like Ron here. Ron is well familiar, been doing all types of investments for 18 years, need level 400 type of education. Ron, we may need to speak after this a little bit, but I'll try to cover as much as I can for you guys. We've got Eric watching from Michigan and Gail from Chicago. So I love Think Realty because you guys are all over the country. It's really awesome to see the types of audience that we can, help each other reach and teach about all of these things. So these are the 7 different types of accounts that can be self-directed at Quest. I'm not going to spend too much time on these here because today I'm really supposed to be focusing on how to grow or how to use your network to grow your IRA. But again, in order to grow your IRA, you need to know what types of accounts can be self-directed. We have 7 different types of plans. We break it down into personal plans, employer plans, and specialty plans. So most Americans, whenever you have your funds in a 401k, or maybe you've quit that job and you've rolled over that 401k into an IRA, 9 times out of 10, those funds are growing tax deferred, meaning, none of your money will be taxed while it's growing from investments. But whenever you go to take out your distributions later at retirement, that's when your money will be taxable. The original idea behind this was because whenever you're in your working years and you have more income, you can put money away into an IRA. The IRS gives you incentives, AKA tax deductions, to put money into an IRA. So since that money goes in tax deductible or tax deferred, anything that grows in that account is considered to be growing tax deferred. So you will have to pay taxes on those distributions later at retirement because, traditionally speaking, if you're retired, you might be in a lower income bracket at that point. I know for real estate investors, that is not always the case. I know personally, my goal is to not be in a lower tax bracket when I'm older. I want to continue to have multiple streams of income and have some true wealth and financial freedom by the time I hit retirement. And unfortunately, that probably does not involve being in a lower tax bracket. So, those tax deferred accounts are great. That's what a lot of Americans have their money in. But at Quest, we really like to educate about the Roth IRA and then these other two specialty plans, the health savings account and the educational savings account, because these accounts are going to grow completely tax free. Any money that goes into a Roth IRA is your after tax dollars that you put into that account. But that allows everything else that grows in that IRA to also consider to have already been taxed. So whenever you go to take out your distributions later at retirement from the Roth IRA, as long as you wait until you're 59 and a half to start taking that money out, you will never pay any taxes or any penalties on the growth in a Roth IRA. If you think of maybe if you've done a real estate investment in the last year or two, how much money you made on that deal. If you did that in an IRA, all of that profit would be completely tax-free. If you maybe do two deals a year like that, maybe, keep doing a deal or two a year in your IRA until the time you hit retirement, you can see how that income can drastically compound on itself over the course of your lifetime, completely tax deferred or tax free. So we always kind of like to talk about the Roth IRA there because as real estate investors, you definitely have the opportunity to hold these different types of assets that could give you pretty great returns into your IRA. So sometimes it might make sense to go ahead and move your funds into a Roth IRA before you start substantially growing that money. And how you can do that is through a Roth conversion. So if you have a 401k or if you have a traditional IRA, you can actually move funds from that account into a Roth IRA. It's called a Roth conversion. That is a taxable event going into a Roth IRA. You essentially pay ordinary income taxes based on your income bracket for that year for whatever amount you move into the Roth. But once you do that, anything else that grows from there grows completely tax-free for the rest of your life. So as you're going out there and you're talking to people in your network and you're thinking of, deals, you're talking with other people that have similar types of deals that you're looking at doing, you want to ask yourself, what type of IRA do I have? How am I funding my account? Is it growing tax deferred or tax free? And which types of accounts would I maybe want to use for this upcoming investment? If you have self-employment income, these plans here in the middle allow for much higher contribution limits. And a lot of these contributions to the employer plans are also tax deferred or tax deductible. So if you're self-employed and you're looking to dump a lot of money into an IRA within 1 year, or you're looking for a way to minimize your tax liability for the year, making a contribution to maybe like a SEP IRA, simple IRAs are not that common to be self-directed, or even like a solo 401k, that could allow you to dump a lot more money into an IRA within 1 year and potentially get a tax deduction on that contribution as well. Now, these specialty plans over here, I kind of alluded to these a second ago, the health savings account and the Coverdell education savings account. These plans are really, really valuable and very much underutilized. And the reason that these plans are so valuable is that they can be self-directed just like any other IRA at Quest, but the distributions can be used completely tax-free today for expenses that you're incurring right now. Now, how do you do this? The health savings account can be self-directed and grown completely tax-free, and those distributions can come out today to pay for any of your qualified health expenses completely tax-free. So if you say go to the doctor, you've got to go to the dentist, all of these expenses that you're probably already incurring, you could pay for completely tax-free from a health savings account. Or the Coverdell education savings account, just like it sounds like, can be used to pay for any educational expenses from kindergarten to age 30, completely tax-free. So, the health savings account and the Coverdell, the contribution limits are a little bit lower to these, but we always like to tell people it's not about how much money you can dump into an IRA or one of these accounts, but how can you make the contribution, within what you're allowed to, or maybe, what you're looking to roll over, but start with a small amount of money and then do creative investments and creative deal structuring to help grow your money from your, small amount that you've started with. So a lot of people have been trained to just, work, save, invest, work, save, invest. And the saving part is really, the biggest focus there, where people are trying to just shovel as much money as they can into an IRA or a savings account each year. But as a real estate investor and having this knowledge of different types of creative deals that you can do with these types of accounts, you have the ability to greatly grow them by the time you hit retirement, maybe from a not so large amount starting out with. And one of the ways that you can do this is through partnering. So I actually have partnering in my second case study. That's how I've grown my IRA. I've partnered it with some of my other family members' IRAs, which kind of get to that in a couple of slides. But all of these types of accounts where the value really comes in is having the ability to have as many IRAs as you want. Overall, you cannot exceed your contribution limits between your different types of IRAs, but you have the ability to partner all of these accounts together, aggregate the total, and grow multiple buckets of money at the same time through your different investments that you're maybe doing with your self-directed types of accounts. In this slide here, I am not going to go through the contribution limits, but I left this slide in here because due to the tax filing deadline being extended this year, normally to make a 2019 contribution, you guys would have already lost that opportunity by now. Since the tax filing deadline has been extended to July 15th, you can still max out any 2019 contributions up until the tax filing deadline, which is now in July. So if you maybe have a 401k with your current employer that you are not eligible to roll over yet, or if you've got money in an IRA, but you're looking to just put like a little bit more in there, or if you're looking to maybe start a new account with new contributions, or maybe a health savings account if you don't have one right now, you can still max out your 2019 contributions. I'm not going to spend too much time on this slide, but if you guys want a copy of these slides, just email me after the presentation and I can send them out to you and help to answer any questions that you might have as well. Let me check the chat here. Yeah, so we have a question here. Can you have both a Roth account and a self-directed IRA? So yes, if you have a Roth IRA, say at like Fidelity or another custodian, you could open up a Roth IRA at Quest and either make new contributions or transfer some of your funds over from your current Roth IRA. And at Quest, it will be a self-directed Roth IRA. So technically it'll still be a Roth IRA, but since it's at Quest, it will have the ability to be self-directed. Got another question here. Can a profit sharing plan be considered for an employer plan? Yeah, so the profit sharing plan, if you are self-employed, give me a call after. We can kind of talk about how that could be moved into a self-directed like SEP IRA or solo 401k. If you have a profit sharing plan through your employer, most times once you no longer work there is when you become eligible to roll out those funds into an IRA. But if you're still working there, you might, have to leave those funds there until you no longer work at that company. But yes, you can have more than one plan. There's no limit as to how many IRAs you have. And here, what's the max you can put in a SEP IRA each year? For 2020, it is 25% of your self-employment income up to $57,000 for this year. So much larger that you can put in those employer plans. But, say if you don't have any IRAs right now, and you're self-employed, you could open up a SEP IRA, you could max out those contributions. Then if you wanted to, you could open up a Roth IRA. If you qualify for it, you could open up an HSA and max out those contributions as well. The different kind of categories of plans, personal plans, employer plans, and specialty plans, each of those contribution limits could be maxed out totally independently of each other. So you do have the ability to contribute to multiple buckets of money and then partner those accounts together to grow more money tax deferred or tax free. So great questions, guys. If y'all have more, just drop them in the chat and I'll kind of answer them as they come in. Oh, yes, my employer allows for an in-service withdrawal. Can I roll that into a self-directed IRA? So you can. Now, 9 times out of 10, they actually don't let you do this. But if you have a 401k or maybe like a 403b with your current employer, then how you would find out if you're eligible to roll over those funds into an IRA is you would ask them if they allow for an in-service rollover. Just basically, hey, I still work here. Can I move my funds to an IRA? Most times they don't, but sometimes they do. So yes, if they allow for that, send me an email after this and I can kind of walk you through the exact process of how that works. And again, what's your power play? having the knowledge of the different types of accounts that can be self-directed, even if you do not have to know everything about these types of accounts, but you want to know where you can go to get those questions answered. So, call an IRA specialist, visit us online. We've got a ton of educational resources for you guys. And, ultimately we are here to help you save more for retirement through non-traditional investments. And we are nerds. We love IRAs. So I literally talk about them all day, every day. Even when I clock out at 5:30, if I go out to a restaurant or I go and hang out with some friends, a lot of times we end up talking about self-directed IRAs because it's really interesting to a lot of people and they haven't really heard of these concepts before. But as you learn more about the different types of accounts, how they can be used and how they can be self-directed, your brain starts to kind of tick a little bit, and you kind of start to realize, hey, I could actually use my IRA for all of these different types of investments. And even if like you as an individual, if you're doing a lot of investments in your business or things like that, and you've got a substantial taxable income, you want to start doing at least some of your investments in some sort of IRA. That way you're sheltering that from your own personal income taxes each year. I'm an economics major, so I always like to think of the opportunity cost of paying back 20 to 37% of my income back to Uncle Sam every single year. Your IRA does not lose that large percentage of its income. So it allows your investments and your IRA growth to really compound on itself and keep it totally separate from your own income taxes that you unfortunately have to pay each year. So yeah, ask us for help. That's my email. It'll be at the end of the presentation as well. But we've got about 140 employees at Quest. We are all very highly trained to answer these questions for you. And the title of an IRA specialist is just someone who's gone through a little bit more rigorous training of like IRS code, rules, regulations, prohibited transactions, all of that fun stuff. We're highly trained to help walk you through that process. And what's really nice is, remember that disclaimer in the beginning. Quest is always neutral. We're not here to sell you investments. We're not here to, push you into a certain type of investment. We're here to answer questions, walk you through it. If you decide to do it, great. If you decide you want to wait, totally up to you. We're always here to help answer those questions for you. Okay, so we've gone through what is a self-directed IRA, the types of accounts that can be self-directed. And, before we can get into how do I use my network to grow my IRA, you need to know what types of investments you can hold with an IRA. And funny enough, there is actually only two things that the IRS explicitly states you cannot invest in with an IRA, and that is life insurance contracts and collectibles. Since IRAs were created in the 70s, you've actually had this ability to hold all of these different sorts of privately held assets within an IRA. There's just not a lot of good education out there. It's a lot more prevalent than it used to be. People are smartening up enough to realize that their savings plan and strategy that they've been using their whole life, if they've been doing what they've been told and saving their entire life, a lot of times is still not enough to get you where you need to be by the time you hit retirement. So, enough people are realizing that, I'm shoveling a lot of money into my 401k or in my IRA each year, and I ultimately have no control over where that money is invested. So when you take the leap and decide to start using your funds to move over into a self-directed IRA to invest into privately held assets, you have a lot of different options. At Quest, we break it down into 3 different categories. And this is real estate, which would be like the direct ownership of like fee simple real estate within an IRA account. We see a lot of like rentals, some fix and flips. Real estate investments can be a little bit more tedious within an IRA because you really need to make sure that all of your IRA investments are kept at arm's length from your own personal investments and your own personal funds. Now, in some of our other kind of like basics and foundations presentations, we go a lot more in depth into the restrictions and the things that can't be done with an IRA, but I took those slides out because it wasn't really the main focus of this presentation, but we do have a lot of education on that. But just kind of be aware that you cannot personally benefit from your own IRA investments. So, there's certain restrictions that have been set by the IRS, but, long story short, at the end of the day, your IRA is really to benefit you in retirement. You can certainly self-direct it and choose which types of investments go in your IRA, choose how those deals are structured, and kind of quarterback the deal, as we like to say. However, you or, your spouse or your parents and kids, cannot personally benefit from these IRA investments. What does this mean? You couldn't buy a piece of real estate with your IRA and go live in that property. That's prohibited. It's no longer just benefiting your retirement account at that point. You can't use your IRA to like loan yourself money or invest into your own business. Or if you currently own a property and that property really needs a new roof, you can't really use your IRA funds to fund into a property that's not owned by your IRA. Got to keep it arm's length, keep it a little separate. But I always like to tell people, once you know that small list of things that can't be done with an IRA, there's this whole world of opportunity out there of other types of deals that can be done with an IRA, as long as they're not with disqualified people. Certain family members that I mentioned, those are the ones that can't do deals back and forth with the IRA. But remember, IRAs can be partnered together. You'll see that in my case study here in a few minutes. But to kind of get that out of the way, 3 different categories of investments at Quest: real estate, private entities. This would be investments into like privately held companies, private bank stock. You can have your IRA fund into a trust. You can't be the trustee of that trust. It's got to be, someone a little bit more arm's length than that. But we see a lot of these investments into like commercial deals, apartment complexes. A lot of those syndications will be structured where the IRAs are passively investing into an LLC or entity that is managed by someone else who is now, kind of using those IRAs to raise capital for those types of deals. Kind of like I was mentioning, your network, finding those people, meeting the types of people that are doing those types of deals that you're looking for is really, really where the value comes in, because accounts at Quest are 100% self-directed. We don't sell investments. We are neutral throughout the process. So we can teach you how to use the types of accounts, the rules, and, kind of things to maybe not do. But it ultimately is up to you to utilize this knowledge that you now have about these types of accounts to go out there and use that knowledge and education in your conversations with other real estate investors that are in your network to find ways to use your IRA money to invest into these deals that, might come across your plate from other people in your network. So private entities, very, very much networking and relationship based, as well as promissory notes. Promissory notes is actually the largest class of assets that we hold at Quest. A lot of people like to use their IRAs to be totally passive. So you could purchase existing notes with your IRA. You could be a private lender and loan your funds out to other real estate investors. Again, very much so relationship based. But you've really got a lot of options. If you want to be a little bit more active and hold that, physical piece of real estate in the IRA, you can do that. All of the income and appreciation from those real estate properties will be completely tax deferred or tax free when it comes back into the IRA. But if you want to be a little bit more hands-off, use your IRA to invest passively into other people's deals. And this is really where, again, the networking and having the kind of right tools in your tool belt really comes into play. So these are the types of investments that can be held at Quest. You really just want to make sure that you are not personally benefiting from your IRA investments. Otherwise, it would be considered prohibited by the IRS, and penalties for that can be a little high. You just want to stay away from it. If you want to know more about that, just call me after the presentation. But here's where the networking comes in. You'll open up your Quest account. We can help you with that. We'll help you get your funds rolled over. But step number 3 right here, this is where the value of your network comes in. You've got to find your own investment. At Quest, again, we do about 600 events a year. They have, of course, all moved to online now, but, we very much realize that we can't provide investments. So we are really in tune with, providing the right educational opportunities and bringing investors, how we kind of used to do it is bring them all in a room together, teach a class, teach them how to do it, and then let people kind of like open deal pitch and network at the end of those classes. As an investor, you always want to be looking for those opportunities to get your message out there to local RIA groups. Maybe there's virtual networking groups or like a virtual online conference that has a networking aspect to it. It's a little bit harder now that everything has moved to online, but the opportunities are definitely still out there. And now more than ever, there are people that are going to be in situations that they need help. They maybe don't know who to turn to. You as an investor, if you're going out there and getting in the field, kind of have your message and have your goal in mind, go out there and let people know what you're looking for in your conversations. Go find investors that maybe have, similar goals in mind as you do. Maybe you're in the same like multifamily sphere, or maybe you're both looking for funds for like private money lending or something like that. Now more than ever, your ability to kind of like one-on-one network with people and build rapport is really going to help you out. And, that's your job. You're the investor. You're the one to go out, find the deals, build the relationships, build that network. I always tell people, you don't have to know everything that I know as an IRA specialist, but know a good basic understanding of how these types of accounts can be used for various types of investments. And then you go out there, you find people, talk to people, kind of have a goal in mind whenever you're networking with people. And by going out and having those conversations and then knowing when to bring the expert into the conversation, whether it's an IRA or title company or insurance company, you want to know your part of the conversation, and then you want to know when to bring the expert in. So how can you kind of use your network? Local RIAs, a lot of those are online right now, but a lot of them do still have a lot of great ways that you can network with each other, whether it's Facebook groups, private Facebook groups, public ones. I know in Dallas, I'm a part of a really big Facebook group that's got 35,000 investors in it. There is a lot of activity in that group. There's always deals being done. Now, of course, due diligence, extremely important. And, you'll kind of see in my first case study is, not really rushing into investments, still taking the right precautions and due diligence, go out there, build a relationship, start building some rapport. And, some other ways, be involved with reputable groups like Think Realty and AAPL, which is the American Association of Private Lenders. They actually have a great platform for you to connect with other investors and other private lenders. If you're looking for money, or if you're a lender, looking for someone to loan your money to, find these reputable platforms where you can put your information in, maybe create an account, and get your message out there and take advantage of these resources that are out there. A lot of these are free, but kind of now more than ever with social distancing and us not being able to bring in 700 people to a big expo in one weekend, it's going to probably involve a little bit more work on your end to find those connections, but it is definitely still possible. If you are a more like sophisticated investor, or you're looking to become a sophisticated investor, Quest does, it's not even Quest, it's actually Quincy, our founder, and some of his investment buddies. They literally just go on cruises together. We call it the Financial Friends Network Cruise. You can find their information online or email me after, but it's literally just a group of investors from all over the US that they've gone on an Alaska cruise that I actually went on. It was a ton of fun. It's about 200 to 300 doer, active, experienced real estate investors from all over the country. This is just one of many groups. You want to surround yourself with people that have similar goals in mind as you, and that kind of are like-minded individuals similar to yourself. If you surround yourself with the right people, your network is your net worth. You are who you hang out with. All of those little anecdotes are so true, and it might seem simple, but if you're really going out there and looking for these opportunities, all of these ways are a great way to do that. And, kind of like I mentioned, when I get off of work, a lot of times I end up talking about real estate and self-directed IRAs because it's really what I'm interested in. And there's a lot of people out there that can see the wealth building potential in the things that I happen to have a lot of knowledge about. So go out there, talk to your friends, your family, your coworkers. They might not be actively looking to do a real estate deal, but it might be something that's been on their mind. A lot of people have been laid off from jobs in the past couple of weeks. I know unemployment hit 30 million, something like that. Don't quote me on that, but outrageous numbers. There's a lot of those people that have 401ks that are looking to be rolled over. They could use those funds to be private lenders with you. You could partner with them. If you've been laid off and you're looking to get into real estate, partnering your IRA with other investors that you know and trust, and maybe they've done a couple of more deals than you have. It's a great way to utilize your network to kind of help grow your own personal wealth and help other people grow their wealth as well through your IRA and other people's IRAs. And kind of to recap on that, be someone that can add value and offer a solution. What I love about the real estate industry is a lot of investors have the mindset of abundance. it's not one of those industries where it's like, I have my secrets, I'm going to keep them away from you. No, a lot of investors, I mean, if you come in and you are a good, honest, genuine person, that's a whole nother conversation, but you want to make sure that you are ethical in your actions, because in real estate, it only takes one or two times for your reputation to really take a nosedive if you're not doing things properly and taking care of others that you are working with. Especially with real estate, there's sometimes a lot of money involved in the deal. You want to make sure that you are protecting the people that you work with, putting their needs, before your own. I know sometimes like private lenders, for example, or borrowers from private lenders. Sometimes a borrower, that deal maybe didn't sell quite as quickly. They maybe didn't run the numbers right, but they always protect their lenders because that's their reputation. So be someone that can add value, offer a solution, and surround yourself with like-minded people that are also have these same ethics and values that you do. So a really great way. And if you just kind of keep those principles in mind, it will help you to drastically grow your network with other reputable investors. So here's kind of some of my case studies. I am not behind on time, which is awesome. Reasons why I took some of those slides out. So again, if y'all have questions, just let me know. Let me check the chat here. All right, cool, no questions. If y'all have them, just drop them in the chat and I'll get them answered. But this is actually the first time I've presented this case study and I'm really excited about it. This is Mark up in Dallas. Mark is a new Quest client. He opened up his account in January of 2019, and he just started coming to Quest classes. He called in one day and was like, hey, I've heard about this. I want to know more. And he actually came in for a consultation, and I think we sat down for close to an hour and a half. Now, a lot of that was just turned into like building rapport, talking, and, just kind of, I've grown up around real estate my whole life. Like I was saying, abundance. I'm more than happy to share my experience and information with other new investors because it's going to help them build wealth. A lot of people have that mindset. It's just kind of all about surrounding yourself with that right group of people that you can start to build those relationships with. So Mark came in, opened up his account, was super excited about it, but Mark had never invested into real estate before. He was actually a retired facilities manager for one of the large phone companies. He oversaw their entire operations on the Hawaiian Islands for about 6 years. And then when he kind of came back to the normal part of the US, he oversaw about 1,500 facilities. Very smart guy, has worked very hard his entire life, and you can see that by the amount that he has saved in his 401k. So, he's dedicated almost his entire life to working for another company, another corporation, putting in his 401k money, getting that match. And, he finally kind of decided, hey, to be honest, he's a numbers guy. He gets it. He's very smart with financials. You can probably see that from his career history. But he started coming to our classes in early 2019 after opening up his account. And through that process, he actually met a lady, her name is Kristen, over there in Dallas. Her business is that she buys and sells real estate notes. She's very reputable. It was actually funny. We did the cover of the Investor Review with Nathan back in May. And when I got those physical copies in, her ad was on the back of the Investor Review for her company. So I was like, oh, there's Kristen. What do you know? But, Mark realized that, hey, Kristen's got some good investments going on. She's actually taught several of our classes. So he actually took a couple of months to do his due diligence on her. And finally, by the time he got to September, he told me earlier this week, he was like, we met, we talked about it. I didn't get it. I watched more classes and then it made sense. And then I decided, hey, send me your deals. So in September, Mark purchased his first promissory note with his traditional IRA. And, he met Kristen at a Quest class, building a lot of relationships there. I'm really sad we can't host those in person anymore. As you guys can probably tell, I'm a people person, extrovert. So I really thrive off of, helping bring people together in a really positive atmosphere like that. But, after a couple of months, he decided, hey, I want to buy this note from you. So he purchased, and the numbers on this are crazy. I looked at it and I was like, this can't be right, but it is. I saw the note. I saw the amortization schedule. It's really kind of cool, these deals he was able to buy and have just total mailbox money now to his IRA. So he purchased an existing note on September 5th, 2019. This note actually originated in March of 2014. So the loan amount was for $54,000 of the original note, and he funded just over $52,000 from his Quest IRA. So to be honest, I don't really think this note was very discounted, but it is a performing note on a 30-year note at 10% interest. So it's a nice little profit from a $54,000 note. The interest rate is 10%. It's a 30-year loan. The monthly payments that Mark is receiving back to his IRA are just over $470 a month. Now, this particular note has a note servicer in place. So Mark does not have to worry about getting those note payments every month. If he wants to, he can log in online and just make sure everything's coming in as it should be. But they've got a note servicer in place that handles everything. This investment is truly 100% passive. And if this note does not get paid off early, which I have a feeling a lot of these probably get paid off a little early, the total returns to his IRA would be over $170,000 over the course of the next 30 years. Now, and the numbers on this might seem, to me, they seemed crazy, but I guess that's why a lot of people love investing in notes. But this would be something very similar to like if you own or financed a property. There's definitely small value properties out there. If you're out living in LA, you probably can't find a $50,000 property, but here in Texas, markets like Florida, Nashville, North Carolina, here in the South, we are very fortunate that, the barrier to entry, the minimal, amount that someone might need to purchase a property is much, much lower than maybe some other parts of the country. So say if you had a house and you own or financed it out to someone for $54,000 on a 30-year note, your IRA would get back $170,000 completely passive over the course of 30 years. Again, if it gets paid off early, might not be quite that much, but all of these returns are completely passive and tax deferred back to his traditional IRA. Now, Mark does have a Roth IRA. He does not have quite as much in there because most of his funds came from a 401k. But when I talked to him earlier this week to, get approval to use this case study, he said at the end, and I, can't make this up. He was like, the only thing I really wish I would have done is I really wish I would have done this in my Roth IRA, because if you're looking to start a Roth IRA, or if you're looking to do a conversion, if you've got like $500,000 in your IRA, it might not make sense to convert that full amount in 1 year. That'd be a huge tax liability that you're essentially signing up for at that point. But say you have an investment coming up. This investment is $54,000, and you think this investment, like the numbers here, are going to pay off really, really well. It might make sense to just convert what you need for that investment to now have all of this $170,000 go back into the Roth IRA, since the Roth IRA is now the account that would have done this investment, and now it's completely tax-free. So just, one kind of note there. He said, really wish I would have done this in the Roth IRA, but he's actually looking to maybe do a conversion to do the next couple of deals in his Roth IRA. And 2 weeks later, he actually purchased another note from Kristen. This one was a little bit higher. This one was $154,000. And this note was a little bit more discounted, still performing, but he funded just over $134,000 from his Quest traditional IRA account. Another 30-year note. These 30-year notes at 10% interest. If you guys get your hand on one of these, sounds like a great investment. This interest rate was 9.9%, and the monthly payment back to his traditional IRA is just over $1,300. Completely passive. This borrower has never missed a payment. And that was one thing that Mark really wanted to make sure of, and why he really took a long time to do his due diligence was because, he doesn't really want to own this property. He doesn't want to have to foreclose. Any performing note could become non-performing. It's just a risk that you might take whenever you're doing investments. But he really did his due diligence and worked with Kristen to let her know what types of deals he was looking for, and kept that communication and that relationship open back and forth. So when she came across this note in particular, she said, Mark will really, really like this investment. She sent it over to him. Sure thing, he did. And they funded the deal within a month. So, kind of using your network, think of the types of investments you're interested in investing in, and find the people who are experts in that space. The total returns, if this note does not pay off early, totally ridiculous, over $484,000 back to his traditional IRA. And again, all of these returns are completely tax deferred. He's looking to maybe do a conversion of one of these notes to start making everything be completely tax free. And it's cool, just like you can convert cash, you can convert an asset. So if he decided that one of these notes he wants in his Roth IRA, he could convert that, pay the taxes on it, and now have all of the additional profits going back into the Roth IRA completely tax free. So what did Mark leverage in this deal? Obviously, number one right here, his network. He came to classes and events, even if you're not local, there's no physical events going on right now, get online, find the groups, find the forums, and link up with some people. I love Zoom because, if I'm on a phone call with someone for 30 minutes, I start to get distracted. I start thinking of other things, but get on a Zoom meeting with someone, have like a, virtual like coffee date or something, and just start to build that network. Like Mark did not rush into this deal, really making sure you take your time to do the due diligence, research the person you're going to be working with is a great way to make sure that your investment is protected. So he leveraged his network, he leveraged his time. He used a very, once he did the due diligence, he used a very small amount of time for the actual purchasing process of this note with his IRA. Most of the time he used for this was to do the due diligence on both Kristen and learning about notes in general. And here you can see here, what else did he leverage? His skill set. So since my first meeting with Mark back in January 2019, he actually attended several note seminars. Kind of like he was saying, I met with her, it didn't make sense. I met with her again, it started to make more sense. In that time, he actually attended 2 to 3 note seminars from one of them was Kristen's, 2 of them were other note educators that are, got a pretty good reputation. But he attended multiple events, get out there, learn so you can leverage your skill set for these investments with your IRA. And not only that, but a lot of these events, these seminars have like-minded individuals, like the Quest Expo that we host. I think Realty has one coming up as well online on like July 13th. There's a lot of like-minded individuals there. And if someone spends their time an entire weekend and probably a little bit of money to pay for this event, there's a lot of doers in those groups that are great to link up with. It just involves you going out there, maybe starting that conversation and, kind of reaching out to start building that relationship with other people that are doing similar types of investments. Okay, so second case study, and this is the last one I have here. This is actually my first investment I did with my IRA, and what I leveraged here was partnering my IRA with my mom's IRA, which obviously that leveraged that relationship there that I have. Just to kind of make a point really quick, I mentioned those restrictions, certain family members are disqualified people and can't do certain types of deals back and forth with the IRA. My mom is technically a disqualified person to my IRA. So I couldn't use my IRA to loan her money or buy a property with my IRA and sell it to her. We're restricted from doing those investments where I'm on one side of the investment and she's on the other side. We could probably work out a pretty good deal between my IRA and my mom, right? So you're not allowed to do that. However, partnering you can do all day long. You can partner multiple of your own IRAs together. You can partner IRAs of disqualified people together. As long as the percentages of ownership stay consistent or pro rata throughout the life of the investment, you can partner different IRAs together pretty much all day long. So this property that we did here was a fix and flip. We actually purchased it in April 2017. The purchase price was $100,000, and we partnered both of our Roth IRAs together. Now, I did not have an IRA before 2016 when I started working at Quest, so I had a very small amount of money in my IRA. I know those last 2 case studies, $50,000, $150,000. There's probably some of you watching this right now, and the exact thoughts going through your head as well, I don't have enough to do this in my IRA. And, certain investments, maybe larger value investments, things like that, maybe that just might not be the best investment for your IRA at this time. But there are so many options out there, so many ways to partner multiple types of accounts together. And I mean, you can even get a loan to your IRA to leverage the funds in there. We don't have a case study about that because I knew I would not have time for it. But we do talk about getting like a non-recourse loan to your IRA in several other presentations. Maybe I'll have to come back and do a webinar over that one. But in this deal, my IRA had 2 years worth of contributions in it. So at that time, it had $11,000 just getting started. But my mom's had an IRA for a very long time. You know, they rolled over their 401ks to Quest basically when Quest opened in 2004, and have been self-directing them for several years. So my mom's IRA owned 92% of this property. And what makes it really nice is, you know, if both IRAs are at Quest partnered together, we can kind of handle the accounting side of things where, you know, if a rent payment comes in from a property and it's a split ownership, we can divvy it up between the different accounts based on those percentages of ownership. Again, you just want to make sure you keep those IRA payments and income with us and not in your own personal bank account. Very highly prohibited there. But we basically process everything at your direction. So the way that this property is actually titled, and this is the way any IRA investment will be titled, is Quest Trust Company for the benefit of, or FBO, your first and last name, and then your IRA account number. Every investment, that's how it'll be titled, whether your IRA is purchasing a property or loaning out the funds, that would be the name of the lender. And if you're partnering multiple accounts together, all you do is you add on to the end as to an undivided interest of blank percent. In this case, it was as to an undivided interest of 8% and 92%. So the rehab and holding cost of this one was $35,000, not a huge rehab, but that very important to remember here when you are partnering accounts together is that any cost associated with this investment have to be split based on the percentages of ownership. Again, we can kind of divvy that up and like send out one check to the contractor, but really important to remember whenever you're running the numbers and figuring out what that percentage of ownership split is going to be, you want to make sure that you've got enough in the different types of accounts that you're using to pay for any holding costs that might come along as well with that investment. So this property sold just a couple of months later in late 2017 for $195,000. The total proceeds from the sale, my IRA got 8% of those profits, which was $15,300. My mom's IRA does not matter. It got more income than mine, but I was able to grow my IRA in just a few short months from partnering it and leveraging other people in my network. Now, I know you guys might be thinking, well, my mom doesn't have a self-directed IRA. You know, you just used your family for this one. Go out there, use these principles that I'm talking about, build good quality relationships with other real estate investors. If you're new, but you're looking to add value and, you know, just kind of like be a good, honest person throughout this process, there are definitely people out there that are going to be willing to partner with you. You know, if you do this, you always want to think of like exit strategies, you know, A, B, C scenario, things like that, if you are partnering with other people, but you want to make sure that they're people that you trust. But, you know, maybe you guys do have an uncle or a brother or a sister and aunt that maybe all have 401ks that they're not really doing much with. Go out there and talk to them about this. Say, hey, you know, like, how's your IRA doing? I found out that you can use these IRA funds to invest into real estate. You know, you could be totally passive. You could just be a lender on one of my deals. And then if they think that sounds cool, great, send them my way. I will tell them everything that they need to know. Or if they think you're crazy, they think you're lying to them, send them my way. I'll let them know that it is legit. But, you know, you go out there, you do your part of the conversation, let the IRA experts handle the logistics and the nitty gritty of things from there. So total tax-free gains kind of net here between the two Roth IRAs was just over $56,000 in just a little over 6 months. And what's cool is, so I did this deal, my IRA went from $11,000 to $15,000. And I actually did very similar types of fix and flips, partnering my IRA with my mom's IRA for 2 more properties. And my most recent deal that I've done, now that, you know, I'm a little bit busier, I've got my IRA built up a little bit, don't just want to rely on mom and dad to have those partnered in. But now I use my IRA to be a private lender. I've partnered it up with some of our other IRA specialists. there's a note. I wasn't involved on this note. It was a little bit before my time, but we actually had a note between 8 different IRA specialists, all with their IRAs partnered together, that they loaned out to an investor over in Houston. And then each IRA just got a small percentage of that profit. So, there's so many ways that you can do this, whether you're being a private lender, actually purchasing that property. I will let you guys know if you're looking to use your IRA funds to invest passively into like a multifamily syndication or some sort of like a private entity. You want to make sure whoever you're investing with is okay with those IRA funds coming from different types of accounts, because typically with those subscription agreements or operating agreements, each IRA actually needs its own set of investment documents. So it's definitely still possible to use multiple IRAs on those like private entity investments, but you just want to make sure you have that open line of communication with whoever you're doing that investment with. But purchasing properties, being a private lender, super easy to partner IRAs together. We see it done pretty much every single day. So what did I leverage here? Partnering. Partnering is huge. You can grow multiple buckets of money all at the same time. I leverage my relationships. Obviously, my mom, we're kind of close, and, they've done about, 1,500 real estate deals since they started investing just in 1999. So, I was in kindergarten when my parents quit their corporate jobs and started investing in real estate. So obviously for my first real estate deal, I leveraged that relationship and the skill set that I know that they have. And I leveraged my expertise. It's actually kind of funny. Back whenever I started my IRA, my dad was purchasing a property with his IRA, and I kind of caught wind of it, and I contacted our real estate department, and I asked them, and I said, hey, I hear my dad's buying a property. And they said, yeah. I said, is my IRA partnered in on it? And they said, no. And I said, send it back. And obviously joking, but, kind of from that point on, I knew that I wanted to partner my IRA with other people that were experienced. In this case, it did happen to be my parents, but it could have been anyone that I know and trust, and that we have a good relationship there. But I leveraged my knowledge as an IRA expert to know that I could partner and do these types of deals. And just to kind of, bring it home, that Roth conversion consideration. Let's see, got a question here. Yeah, so great question, Angela. Would like a copy of the slides, send me an email after the presentation. I'll have my email at the very end. Where can you find classes from Quest? They are all on our Facebook page. If you send me an email, I'll link you to our Facebook, but it's just Quest Trust Company, super easy to find. We also stream all of our classes through Zoom, and you can find those on our website at questtrust.com. And our classes are totally free. We only have a couple of paid events throughout the year. We actually do have one coming up that I'll share here closer to the end. But yeah, totally free. You don't have to be a client. And if you have more questions, just let me know. But okay, so Roth conversions. Just to kind of bring it home, this year, it's funny, I read an article on Forbes of how this year could potentially be one of the best years in a very long time to do a Roth conversion. And the reason being, a lot of people's IRAs and 401ks unfortunately kind of took a bit of a hit with the stock market dipping about 20 to 30% for a lot of people's accounts just a couple of months ago. If your IRA has lost some of its value, it might make sense to go ahead and do a Roth conversion while that account value is lower. If you wait until your IRA is at a really large value to do a conversion, it's just going to, kind of keep costing you more and more tax money at that point. It might still make sense if you have plans to grow your Roth IRA once you do that conversion. But if you've got a small account, if it maybe lost some of its value, anyone that has like under $20,000 in an IRA, I always make sure to have the conversation of the potential benefits of go ahead and converting those funds to a Roth IRA. Because essentially, if you don't and you grow that account to like $1 million, you're creating a pretty big tax liability for yourself down the road when you could have just paid the taxes on the $15,000 upfront and then let it grow. Also, with the Roth conversions, do we think taxes are going to go up in the future? No one has a crystal ball, but I don't really see taxes going down in the future. Are you going to be in a lower tax bracket when you're older? Possibly. Me as a real estate investor, my day job is with Quest, but my ultimate goal is to have multiple streams of income where I can totally be financially free and go and do the things that I want to, with my life and spend time with my family and my dogs and things like that. But are you going to be in a higher tax bracket or a lower tax bracket when you're older? Your marginal tax bracket, if you convert a really large amount in one year, it might create a really big tax hit for you. But what you could do is maybe just convert pieces at a time each year. That way you don't really take a big tax hit all in one year together. And last but not least, something to consider if you're thinking of doing a Roth conversion is if eventually when you do pass these accounts on to your heirs, you have the ability to pass on a completely tax sheltered, tax-free Roth IRA that your heirs will never have to pay taxes on. Now, with the Secure Act that passed recently, some of you guys might or might not know about this, but you used to, if you inherited a Roth IRA, you could take over the course of your lifetime just small distributions from that account each year. There were probably some people abusing that ability just a little bit. So they did kind of, with the Secure Act, they took that ability away where if you inherit a Roth IRA, that account has to be depleted within 10 years, but it is still completely tax and penalty free at that point for your heirs. Or you can leave them a traditional IRA and just let them pay the taxes on it. I've had a few people are like, oh, I don't want to worry about that. I'll just let them worry about it later. Totally up to you. And last but not least here, what are your projected gains on your investments? Again, if you've got an investment coming up that you think is going to pay off pretty nicely, I would consider doing a Roth conversion before you do that investment. That way, all of those profits can now go back into the Roth IRA completely tax-free. And I really kind of mentioned this, but how can I profit now? Other people's IRAs. Your IRA builds wealth for your retirement. You want to make sure that you do at least some of your investments in an IRA to shelter them from taxes and to help you build tax-deferred or tax-free wealth. But you also need funding for your deals today, right? So this is where you use other people's IRAs as private financing sources for your deals. And again, this really comes down to the network and knowing how to introduce the conversation. So, if you go out there and you're talking to people, you're like, hey, I've got a real estate deal. I need funding for this deal. The average American is not going to have just $200,000 to $300,000 just sitting in a savings account, not really doing much. But there are a lot of people out there that have the majority of their wealth sitting in a 401k or in an IRA, but they don't know that they have the ability to do this yet. So if you go out there, you have the conversations, you know how to come across as credible and, maybe have a deal book with you, have references, have a good basic understanding. So you do sound credible whenever you're bringing up this idea that they've never heard of, that they can actually use their IRA to be a private lender or invest into real estate. And then again, at some point, bring us into the conversation and we can fill in the nitty gritty of the logistics. But, having a good base knowledge of all of these principles as you're going out there and you're networking and building rapport with people will help you not only build wealth for your retirement, but also help you have more access to, millions or trillions of dollars for funding for your deals. So use other people's IRAs to meet your needs for today. Use your IRA to meet your needs for tomorrow. I've already touched on this, but there's literally, I think, $30 trillion of money in American retirement accounts. And all of this has the ability to be self-directed. They just don't know that they have this opportunity yet. And at every gathering, there are millions of dollars available for investments. Events like the Think Realty online conference, Rodney, correct me if I'm wrong here, but July 13th and 14th, I believe that's all online. Nate had that in this presentation. I see him nodding yes. And then Quest is actually doing our own online expo as well, QuestCon Live. It'll be July 10th and July 11th. So you guys take 4 days, learn everything that you need to know from these two events. And that's pretty much it. I'm over on time, you guys. Basic points overview. It's basically everything I've already covered here. And there's our little image for QuestCon Live. Investors help you to build a network. At every networking event, there are millions of dollars available for investments. So, we really enjoy our relationship with Think Realty. Rodney You have been awesome in kind of helping us coordinate these webinars. Our cover on Investor Review that we did back in May with our really nice article about Houston. So for anyone watching this, or if you guys are watching the replay later, we'll waive your account opening fee whenever you open up your Quest account. That promo code is THINK20. If you guys are interested in setting up a free consultation, send an email to me at iraspecialist@questtrust.com. That goes to myself and our entire team of IRA specialists. I am pretty busy doing a lot of education and webinars. I think I'm doing about 4 this week alone. So we have about 15 IRA specialists that are just as highly trained in all of this information. We're all here to help you. But send us an email at iraspecialist@questtrust.com. Or even better, email me directly at haley.gant@questtrust.com. That's pretty much all I've got for you guys. I only went over on time by 10 minutes, so sorry, but still mostly within those parameters. It's hard to get it all in. I get really excited when talking about IRAs. So let me go in here. I think I might have just one more question. Okay, no, I think I got that one answered. But yeah, questtrust.com, that's our website. Send me an email. You can follow us on social media. We're on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all of that fun stuff. If you just search Quest Trust Company or send me an email, I can get you all of that information that you need. And if you want a copy of today's slides, send me an email and I can send those over to you as well. So let me make sure here. Maybe got one more chat. Awesome. Thank you guys for watching. No more questions. Rodney, I think I'm good to sign off, right? We're good to go. Thanks guys for watching today. I hope you enjoyed it. Tell your friends about us. We're here to help you save more for retirement through investments that you have more control over. That's our goal. So, we're here to help in any way that we can. Y'all have a great day.